I actually had these toys. And they were the worst toys to have. Remember this one?
I remember hearing that theme. I don't think I watched it.
Did you ever have Mask?
I might have had one or two. I'm seeing them. I was already entrenched in G.I. Joe, Transformers, Masters of the Universe. I don't think I couldn't add new toy lines without making my family go broke, apparently.
Dude, Mask was cool. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Thunder! Snarf, snarf! Dude, I used to always watch that show. Snarf, snarf, lion, oh, snarf, 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 snarf.
Transformers. Can't believe you didn't watch that show. That was one of my favorites.
I did watch Transformers. I had an Optimus Prime, pretty kick-ass Optimus Prime.
That was one of the ones I didn't get a Prime until later. And I don't even think I have original Prime. It was one of those re-releases, but yeah, he was always impossible to find, or he was super expensive. I had a lot of the more obscure ones, because I think when I really kind of got into them, they were well into the line. So, but I had some cool ones. I had the evil cars when they came out with the combiners, where they would all 5-foot form the bigger robot.
Dude, and, I didn't like. You think about today, if Thundercats was around, and how the bad guy looked pretty devilish, like he looked like a skeleton kind of guy. I think nowadays, people would be like, "Oh, I was so scared. I can't watch this show. It's terrifying." It would be like totally. It probably wouldn't be even the way it is now. All of it, even G.I. Joe, probably would even be the same.
Yeah, Mumra was pretty freaky. You know, he was
supposed to be scary. You know.
See, that's pretty frightening. If you watch this, you know, we're grabbing clips, obviously, from our good friends on YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty frightening if you're a kid and you really don't know what the hell's going on. Say you're, you know, young enough to still have pretty bad nightmares. You start seeing Mumra on your TV, yeah, you're probably gonna fucking be flipping your shit.
Mumra. Another name where it is about what should we call the guy that looks like a mummy? Mumra? All right, that's it. You're fired.
There it is. We got it. Let's move on to our lizard person. Well, what do you want to call him? Slithe. With the S's.
We're gonna call him Lizard Man. There you go. That's good.
Jackal Man. That was really the one guy, wasn't it? Jackal Man was his real name.
Yeah.
They're not even trying. Lion-O, they just added an O to lion.
Yeah, they just add an O at the end of each one. Lion-O, Panthro, Chitaro,
Tigra. We're gonna put an A next to them.
Tigra, Chitara,
Wily Kit and Wily Cat, and then what do you want to call his cat's name? I'll just call him Snarf.
Snarf out of nowhere. So,
Cato. We're not going to call him Cato. We'll just call him Snarf.
Yeah, we can't even just call him something like Peter. We'll just call him Peter.
Or Meow. Since he likes a snarf like a meow, we could just call him Meow, but somebody owns a copyright to Meow, so we'll have to just... I totally
forgot about those two other cats, the two kittens. I didn't know who they belonged to. Who the fuck kids were those?
They were just, I think, because their whole planet, I think, got destroyed or some shit like that, wasn't there? So they I think they were two like orphans or some shit. I want to say. I'd have to go back and watch the original again. It's
But
been
they
so
look
long.
just like Chitara and Lionel.
Yeah. Well, they look like they could be like Tigra and Chitara's kids, but that was never. There was never really said they were actually. I thought they were orphans, and then yeah, because it always seemed like Lionel was a kind of a big kid. So even though you would think since he was the leader of the pack, he would get Chitara, it always seemed like Tiger and Chitara were doing something. Panther was all the mechanic, so he ain't shacking up with anybody. The kids are off playing in the woods, and then Snarf and Lionel are hanging out together. So that's pretty much how I took their relationships to be, to get into our
that
nuclear family section. The Thundercats.
Tigra and Chitara are bad parents, and they just didn't want to deal with the kids. And so after they were
just
full grown, yeah.
Just told them they were orphans until they got old enough to tell them the truth.
I'm your
I
father.
don't want to tell you we're mom and dad, but you're orphans.
They show a picture of them nursing off Chitara, and they're like laying on her side like a cat, and they're all this in their 6 booby nipples, and they're like, "What the hell?"
Even Lionel's in there.
Lionel's in the back. He's smoking a cigar, and Panthero's over there lifting weights. What was Panthero? Panthero, I thought was a cool character. I always thought Panther was pretty badass.
Yeah. Panther was cool. He had I think he had the cool look because he had the gray and the blue, and he had the nunchucks, so he was kind of like the kung fu cat, so to speak.
And he had nunchucks. Who didn't want nunchucks? Think about it.
With
Who
paws
didn't
on
want
them?
Yeah.
The handle.
And the spikes would shoot off of his little suspenders and just and like stab people with them.
Yeah, that's true. He was the mechanic. So if anybody can come up with that stuff, that would be him.
So out of all as we're wrapping up here, we got about 3 minutes left. As you think about your childhood, what was one of the most inspirational cartoons that you watched that you also had action figures for?
Being a youngest child was, I'm not going to be afraid to say I was, good parents and spoiled a little bit. So I had a lot of different lines. My favorite were the lines that had a lot of characters. That's why I think there's a fondness for a lot of those, from G.I. Joe to Transformers to Masters of the Universe. Being a DC Comics fan, when I met, an old friend, his dad introduced me to comics. His son fell out of comics. He became kind of like a skater dude or whatever, and fell out of contact with him. But the funny thing is just that, limited exposure for whatever few years, whatever, I was friends with this kid. His dad being a huge comic guy and stuff too, that influenced me, which became a huge comic book fan. And I just always loved the superpowers, the super friends, all that stuff. And when they released the superpowers line, they started to get kind of really in depth, and that was my favorite line. And I still got those original toys to this day. Like I said, we talked about, I think, on earlier episodes of Me Podcast, you listen, we talked about, some of our childhood memories and toys and stuff. It's pretty cool to still have that stuff, and maybe one day, get that stuff out of storage and display it and take me back. That's kind of why talking about it's so cool. Watching movies like I talked about in the Bumblebee movie, from the music and the feel of the movie and stuff, taking you back to that time. I think the 80s just will always hold a special place in the hearts of all of us who kind of grew up in that era, because had the coolest cartoons, had the coolest toys, had the coolest, even though it's could be goofy to some music, it was just a good time to grow up in. I think we were, we got to say we're pretty blessed to have survived it and can talk about it.
I agree. That's why I said I liked He-Man. That was my favorite. I was way into He-Man.
Yeah, they brought him back though. They redid him. They brought him back. They're doing some kind of revintage. Yeah, I'll have to show you some of those one day.
Nothing will ever bring back the movie with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man.
Yeah, that was a unique movie. Yeah, supposedly they're making another one that's supposed to be a lot cooler than the old school one. So we'll have to see how they do it.
With this day and age, whatever they make now is probably going to be badass. All right, we're going to wrap this up. So it was nice talking about memory lane, about toys with you.
Yes,
podcast.
definitely.
You listen, and again, thanks for the Destro. And
You
we
bet.
will come back,
You
and
bet,
I know
Jester.
that next time we're going to come back and talk about TLC match with WWE or that last pay-per-view they had. Rocky's going to be with us, and we're going to discuss that, I believe. So we will catch you on the
Aquaman.
next
Hopefully,
episode.
the Aquaman the movie and a lot of good stuff coming up. Follow us on social media, subscribe on iTunes.